Happy New Year! This morning, let's explore the 7 Enlightenment Factors. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This morning we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two, but first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly as Rey Skywalker on 1jan23, under the guidance of General Leia Organa, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Once again this morning we could explore the 7 Enlightenment Factors that you too could meditate like a Jedi. Well, my friends, here in Southern California, it is dark 100. And if you too are dappled and drowsy and perhaps a trifle fatigued from last night's celebration, then I invite you to join me in knocking out 2 or 3 repetitions of geriatric step back squat thrusts before a Buddha image. And if you wanted to, you could even refer to that as enlightened fitness. Going to play with the camera for a moment, try to elongate it if I may. Okay. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students to master the Eightfold Path. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students to master the Eightfold Path. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students to master the Eightfold Path. One of the places where the Buddha taught, one of the sutras where we find the Buddha's explanation of the 7 Enlightenment Factors, is in the Mindfulness with Breathing discourse. There are some people, sometimes with the best of intentions, over-essentialize the Buddha's teachings and make them kind of hobble them. So the Buddha taught the 7 minimal things required for a meditation to be effective. The first one is mindfulness. If someone is telling you to ignore perceptions, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, or imaginings, they are telling you to undermine your mindfulness. Mindfulness is intended. Mindfulness is not concentration. It is flexible. It is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. The second enlightenment factor sometimes is described as investigation. I like to describe it as curiosity. Why? Investigation is active and curiosity can be passive. Curiosity is the opposite of being defensive. So for instance, when we have a thought or a memory of us playing the fool, instead of rushing to rationalize or fatalize or excuse what we've done, we just get curious. We just be vulnerable. We see where the adventure, where the meditation takes us, as if it was a great adventure. The third and fourth enlightenment factors, energy and joy. If you blend them, you get enthusiasm. There are some teachers who are rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, and competitive. They will tell you that the Buddhist path must be difficult and arduous if it is to be effective. But those of us who choose to be flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, and cooperative would say no. If it's to be effective, it has got to be a fun, pleasurable experience. The pleasure, the enjoyment of meditation is a litmus test of whether we're doing something wrong or not. This is important. We have to be vulnerable to the results we're generating if we are to stay on the right path. A navigator doesn't just say, well, I trust my destination. No, they're continually taking readings to verify that they are on course, and when they discover they are off course, they make the necessary corrections. In anything we do, we must work with feedback. We must notice our results and respond accordingly. Energy and joy are also what happen when we meditate correctly. If our breathing is too shallow, we will lose our energy and joy. If it is too deep or too fast, we'll hyperventilate and tip over. So we have to find the happy medium, and that happy medium is always changing. A barometer for the effectiveness of our meditative technique is the physical joy, physical energy, and the emotional joy we experience. You can't just, please don't make the mistake of repressing your perceptions of lethargy and sorrow. That is a huge error. But we respond to our perceptions accordingly. You know, if you're aiming for the door but you find yourself headed towards a brick wall, you adjust your course. You do it every day without even thinking. The same is true with meditation. Beware of teachers who use faith as a tool. The Buddha did not do that. Faith is a rigidity of mind and emotion, and it is a fool's paradise. Better to be vulnerable and simply rely upon intention, observation, and action. Someone will say, I have faith that I have bodhicitta. Don't have faith that you have bodhicitta. Just choose a loving motivation. Just that. It's that simple. One of the malicious reasons why people choose faith, what teachers endorse faith, is because it feeds the insecurity of their students, which makes them easier to manipulate. So if your teacher is concerned about using you as a pawn and manipulating you, find a better teacher. Find a teacher who is loving and laid back. Fifth and sixth, the fifth phase, or the fifth enlightenment factor, refers to our out-breath. Ask a neuroscientist. They will tell you every time we exhale, we are wired to access our parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us to physically relax and mentally release. If our meditation practice does not involve making the most of every exhalation, then we're pretty much wasting our time. Every inhalation, we are wired to access our sympathetic nervous system, which helps us to notice. And as we do, it could feel as if our subtle energies are coalescing within our central nervous system, central channel. So simply going with the flow of awareness every time we breathe in is coalescence. And the only label we need ever use when performing mindfulness is the simple pronoun this. Balance here, number 7, balance refers to the midpoint between the dread that pushes and the desire that pulls. So it would be a mistake, a newbie mistake would be, indifference. No, because you're still mindful of your desire and your dread. You're just no longer the slave of your desire and dread. If anyone tells you to stop feeling an emotion, they've made a mistake and they're sharing the mistake with you, and they're telling you to undermine your mindfulness. Our central nervous systems evolved to hate that which is destructive for us and crave that which will allow us to reproduce and live long enough to reproduce. That's how evolution works. We undermine the basic structure of our central nervous system at our peril. Therefore, the balance we seek is a balance of liberation, where we are aware of our desires and dreads, but we are no longer their slave. We have, like Pinocchio, we have cut our puppet strings. How do we do that? By practicing the Eightfold Path. Unfortunately, we do that every live stream, so you don't have to worry about that. And so there you have it, the 7 Enlightenment Factors. Well, something's going on. That's rather weird. Let's see here. There we go. Well, that was creepy. Okay. So I'm going to tap button 6 and remind you that every 12 hours I broadcast a live meditation class without any ads. This channel is supported by the generosity of viewers just like you. With your help, this channel could come to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If this sounds like a good thing to you and you'd like to help out, even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month, that'd be great. Simply poke around the description area below the video, and there you'll find a Patreon link, a PayPal link, and 2 YouTube buttons. One marked to join and the other just marked with a currency sign. Click whichever one speaks to you. Give whatever amount you feel comfortable with. And if you can't give anything, that's fine as well. Hang around till the end, and there'll be strategies you can use to support the Buddha Joy Meditation School without spending a single dime. Going to check to see if there are any questions, and at this moment I do not see any questions. So I think it could be great fun if together as a team we chanted 4 passages from my adaptation and amplification of the Padmakara group's translation of the final meditation manual of Zalpatul Rinpoche. Together. What can you say about years, months, or days? Look how things change every moment right now. Each moment that passes brings you closer to death. Now this very moment recite this 12-syllable mantra. As your life runs out like the setting sun sinking away, death closes in like the lengthening shadows of evening. Now what is left of your life will vanish as fast as the last fading shadows. There is no time to waste, recite this 12-syllable mantra. This 12-syllable mantra of the perfect is Dharma. Is fruitless recited while chatting and looking around. And to cling to the number recited is to miss the point outright. Undistractedly watching the mind recite the 12-syllable mantra. If you check your mind over and over again, whatever you do becomes the perfect path. Of all the hundreds of thought instructions, this is the very quintessence. Fusing everything into this one single point, recite this 12-syllable mantra. We come now to this morning's primary text. I'm taking a moment to check for questions, and finding none, let's continue. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example and instructions and students who master the Eightfold Path. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example and instructions and students who master the Eightfold Path. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students to master the Eightfold Path. One moment, if you please. That's an... Okay. Let's seize this opportunity to consider how stress's independence is but an illusion, and is empty of any permanence to grasp the shoving and reaching worsen stress. One moment, if you please. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, thank you for your patience, and let me check to see if there are any questions, and let's continue. Let us silently and mentally recite these rhetorical questions in harmony with our in-breath and out-breath. O teacher, like awareness, please come to this crown, that I may train in awareness and letting go. Hey! O teacher, like awareness, please come to this crown, that I may train in awareness and letting go. Hey! O teacher, like awareness, please come to this crown, that I may train in awareness and letting go. Hey! We come to this morning's first of two silent meditations. This one is the union of awareness and letting go. Some would describe this as Zen or Chan or Dhyana or Mahasandhi. Some would describe this as Ati Yoga or Sutra Mahamudra or Dzogchen's trick show that slices through the duality of dread and desire. So let's quickly chant Dzogchen Rinpoche's pointing out instructions for an old nomad. Do not ruminate about the past, do not anticipate the future, do not cognate about the present. Not tampering with it, just leave mind as it is this very instant, aware, relaxed. Beyond this there is not a damn thing. So, let us apply those instructions. As we inhale, we can silently and mentally recite watching this. And as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite relaxing. And you'll notice I've hyphenated the word relaxing because to make it easier for us to silently and mentally both relax and recite simultaneously. So why would we do all this? Every time we inhale, we inadvertently access our sympathetic nervous system that supports the sensory acuity that allows us to perceive, allows us to watch our perceptions, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. It allows us to do so in a manner that is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random, to such a point that the only label we need ever use is simply the pronoun this. But what are we to do with everything that we noticed? During each exhalation, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our parasympathetic nervous system that helps us to both physically relax as well as mentally release. But what is it that we could find ourselves releasing. We could find ourselves releasing our resistance to the presence of things we hate. We could find ourselves releasing our resistance to the absence of things we crave. We could find ourselves releasing our resistance to the loss of that to which we cling. It's approximately 38 minutes after the hour. We got a late start, but I apologize. Let's meditate. Beware. Oops, one moment, I guess.
Am I getting old?
Beware of teachers who demand blind faith. Beware of teachers who demand you practice without noticing your results. Beware of teachers who demand you blindly follow them without noticing whether or not they are loving and their advice is beneficial. This blind faith is disastrous, and the Dalai Lama actually warned against it in his book, The Path to Enlightenment. Beware of teachers who demand Beware of teachers who demand. Sorry, kids, the phone is on its last leg. We turn our attention now to this morning's first set of mantra meditations, where we will lovingly leapfrog over the tyranny of our competitive tendencies, for it is far more beneficial to cooperate than compete. May our lavish all circumstances, bodies, communication, and minds, with good fortune, health, love, and wisdom, that I may master love and letting go. With whom we invoke the example of the Muni, was one Muni, wise one, Maha, greatly wise one, Muni, yea, of the Shakas, Soha, wishing enlightenment for all. As we chant the mantra, it feels as if cold rays were emitting from a thumbnail-sized horizontal to cerebral mantra rosary at our hearts. Lavishing all circumstances, bodies, communication, and minds, with good fortune, health, love, and wisdom, centered and spontaneous. So what we're going to do is not only exercise our loving intention, but we're going to do it through the cunning use of figurative language. Why? Why do that? Because vertebrates on this planet evolved to think symbolically. First, our ancestors perceived. Then our ancestors began to both recall past perceptions and anticipate future perceptions, and that was the beginning of thought. So when we use figurative language, we're tying into the root of our mind, so to speak. So therefore, let us lovingly wish that all circumstances were as fortunate as a Buddha's real or mythical paradise, also known as a Pure Land or a Vati, if you prefer Sanskrit. Let us lovingly wish that all bodies were as healthy as an enlightened, or as an archetype of enlightenment or yidam appears to be in Buddhist art. Let us lovingly wish that all communication and the relationships that it affects are each as loving as a Buddha's mind, or as a Buddha's communication is thought of as being, symbolized, of course, by a mantra. Let us lovingly wish that all minds were as wise as a Buddha's mind is thought of as being, symbolized by a one-syllable mantra known as a seed mantra or a bija mantra. Let's see here. This is page 31. I'm going to do a quick edit. Excellent. I'm going to check to make sure the display is synchronized and to check if there are any questions. I don't see any questions. We now come to our second set of mantra contemplations. We're going to now explore the union of awareness of letting go, where we wisely leapfrog over the tyranny of our clinging tendencies. May I let go of all man's communication, bodies, and circumstances, as if they were as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be non-graspable to the hand. So, we're going for the next bunch of contemplations. We're going to play with rhetorical questions. As we inhale, the functions of our mind can appear rather clearly to us. And when I say functions of our mind, I'm referring to our perception, emotion, intention, thoughts, memory, and imagination. However, this is the weird thing, as we relax while exhaling, the exact same minds could feel as if they were as non-graspable as a bija or a one-syllable mantra comprised only of lines. So this is crucial that when we are chanting the mantra, we physically relax as best we can. This will help us to viscerally let go. As we inhale, it is very easy for us to notice our communication and the effect of our communication upon our relationships. However, as we physically relax during our exhalation, our communication and our relationships can begin to feel as non-graspable as a mantra comprised only of lines. As we inhale, we could feel our own bodies quite easily, and yet, as we physically relax in coordination with our exhalation, our bodies can begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as an archetype of enlightenment or Yidam's body comprised only of light. As we inhale, we could notice our circumstances, and yet, as we physically relax, in harmony with our exhalation, these exact same circumstances could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a real or imagined paradise or pure land or vati comprised only of light. We're now going to contemplate the dance of impermanence and interdependence. We're going to use melting. We're going to play once again with rhetorical questions, where we use melting as a metaphor of impermanence to help us to leap over our clinging tendencies, and we're going to use absorption as a metaphor of interdependence to help us to leapfrog over our competitive tendencies. How could all places blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into this body? That's right. That's right. The union of Buddhism and ayahuasca. How could all bodies blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into this speech? How could all speech blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into this mind? How could all minds blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into infinite emptiness? We come now to our second and final set of silent meditations this evening. This morning. So not only have I hyphenated relaxing of hyphenated feeling, so let's play with this right now. mind, speech forms and lots have the wisdom, love, health, and boon of Buddha's mythical bija mantra yidam and vati. Un momento, s'il vous plaît. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness, may everyone have balance free from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging. May all beings like the Buddha, master being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness, flow spontaneous and uncontrived. May all beings like the Buddha master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate all others. May each being take auspicious rebirth, complete the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. At this very moment, for the peoples and the nations of the earth, may not even the names disease, famine, war, or suffering be heard. Rather may their kind conduct merit wealth and prosperity increase, and may supreme good fortune and well-being always arise for them. Beginning with Kuntu Sangpo and Great Dorje Chang down to my own Kandu Sri Lama, whatever aspirations they have made to benefit beings, may I accomplish them all. May all beings everywhere plagued by sufferings of body and mind receive a notion of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by sorrow. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil receive rest and be restored. May the naked receive clothing, the hungry receive food. May the thirsty receive water and delicious streams. May the poor receive wealth, those weak with sorrow receive joy. May the hopeless receive hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all the medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless receive power and the people long to benefit each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain. Until then may I too auspiciously remain to effectively dispel the miseries of the world. As promised. In approximately 10.5 hours, we could return to explore control, anxiety, and meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.